Okay, so what I was saying is now that I've changed my base resolution, I just don't have as much detail in here. Now, what this resolution means is basically there's a grid that you can't see that's drawn across this container. And a lot of the mathematical formulas that are running in the background are running per container. And so this grid, each grid section is called a voxel, if I remember right. And right now it's 20 by 20. So I'm going to go ahead and turn this up to 50. When I rewind, the resolution W and H are both going to reset to 50. Okay, you can change which start frame it starts on. Now before I forget, I'm going to mention something. When you're creating a shot and you need smoke to already exist at frame 1, all you need to do is go and start your simulation before frame 1 begins. So you could go to frame like -50 and then run your simulation from -50, and that way when it gets to frame 1 you already have smoke, because most of the time you're not wanting the origin of the smoke to appear during your shot. It just needs to already be there. Okay, so you can decide. I'm not. Okay. Now, just to go over a few of these attributes, the ones that I'm just going to recommend that you tinker with. You have let's see, grid interpolation. Seems like that works a little better to change this to Hermit, and to be honest, I couldn't tell you why. And the liquid method, you want to make sure this is liquid and air. You have the minimum density, mass range. So that would be like a variable of how dense your fluid can be. You can change the boundary, so this one would be important for us. If you change the boundary Y so that the Y positive, actually let's change that to Y, I think Y negative. So if I play back my simulation, it no longer collides with the top. So that could be handy. Your density scale will be good to play with. The self-attract and self-repel are going to be important. You can adjust gravity if you want to. You can make the gravity more stronger or less strong. You also have velocity, and that's going to change. Right now it's all set to 1, so it's just the weight of the particles themselves is just going to carry them up because they're light. Obviously not much lighter than air though, if you look at the simulation right now. You also have this velocity swirl and noise and dampening. Those will all three be important. You have your turbulence, which will be important. All three, the strength, frequency, and speed. Now, I should mention that any attribute that has a strength, like turbulence strength, then this turbulence frequency and turbulence speed, to my knowledge, are not going to do anything until you give them some strength. So these attributes can be reliant on one another. You can change the buoyancy, that would be good. The fuel, anything regarding fuel can be good to mess with. That is kind of a rate the particles the rate at which the number of particles increases, that's your fuel. You can create heat maps and that sort of stuff. Let's see if there's anything else. You'll want to probably play with the ambient color and the specular colors. I doubt we want any glow. You can change your texture type. I think Perlin Noise is probably the best kind for us, but I don't know, maybe we could try Wispy. You can experiment with all of these. Now if you're wanting to understand Wispy or the different texture types, if you go to the Hypershade and 2D textures, and you look up the noise, what these all are is they're noise patterns. So if you were to select this, you have very similar attributes. Okay, in fact they're probably exactly the same. Okay, so now it's down here. Anyway, so there's a lot of attributes. I should also mention that if you select the emitter itself, it's also going to have some attributes. And it should inherit its attribute, I believe it inherits its attributes from the container that it belongs to. I could be wrong though. At least some of them it does. They're supposed to pass their information back and forth. So, lots and lots of attributes. You'll definitely want to look at the tutorial on it, but this will help you get started tinkering relatively quick. And I think that's about all I really need to cover on this. Let's just set you guys loose. Actually, I guess there's one more thing. If you were to scale this container, you see how the volume inside of it scales. You're not really changing your simulation. So if you want to scale that, then you need to change your base resolution to something bigger to accommodate the different size. Now, there's one more thing I wanted to mention. Now, when you're raising up this resolution here, so you get a more detailed simulation, take into account how close this smoke is going to be to the camera. There's no point in turning your base resolution up really high if this is the closest it's ever going to be seen to the camera. Okay? Now if you're wanting to look at it right here, obviously that's not enough resolution. Anyway, that's all I'm going to talk about fluids.